Draw this in your notebook. We're going to take a few notes here.
Do you want it to take up the whole page?
You could, yeah, it can. So one cause of the War of 1812 was Great Britain at this time was, let me get my notes here. So Great Britain was interfering with shipping rights of America. Because they didn't think that we should be trading with other countries that they were at war with. So they passed an order in 1807 that would require any neutral countries to buy a shipping license in order to trade with the country they were at war with. So this interference in shipping was one of the big causes of the War of 1812. Another big cause of the war was also impressment, because they were taking our sailors off of these merchant ships and forcing them into the British Navy. And we were an independent nation, right? So they were essentially kidnapping our citizens and forcing them to fight in this war. And another big cause was the British were supporting Native American resistance to westward expansion. Because like we talked about before, westward expansion, we're taking land away from people that are already there. So the British come along and they say, we're going to support you in this, in your resistance to America's expansion west if you'll support us. Because war was pretty inevitable, so in 1812, war was declared between the United States and Great Britain. Most of the war was fought in North America between U.S. forces, British soldiers, and then there was a third key player in the war, and this was Native Americans. And most of the Native Americans in the country at the time sided with Great Britain because they told them they would help them out in this resistance to the expansion west. So, the war goes on for about 2.5 years, and so we're not going to get too much into the battles of the war itself, but the war goes on for about 2.5 years, and then a treaty is signed in 1814, on Christmas Eve, 1814. It's known as the Treaty of Ghent. And there were two big things that came about from this treaty. The U.S. said that they would drop their demands for impressment to end of U.S. soldiers or U.S. citizens. But there was a big thing that also had happened in Europe at this time. You remember we said that there was a war between Great Britain and France. So this war had already come to an end as well. So this is something that would probably naturally have come to an end, right? They wouldn't need to impress citizens into the British Navy if they're not at war. And so Great Britain said, okay, if you're going to do this, then we will abandon all of our attempts to aid Native Americans. So essentially the war was a stalemate. There really wasn't a winner or a loser. as far as the United States and Great Britain. But one of the biggest losers of this war was the Native American tribes, because they had no backing from Great Britain. So there was a weakened resistance to westward expansion because of this. So one of the big effects is weakened resistance. But at the same time, economically, the United States saw a big increase in manufacturing after the war. Why do you think there would have been an increase in manufacturing during the war and after the war? Any ideas?
They needed more supplies.
They needed supplies, but they're also not trading, right? They're not trading as much because they're at war with some of the countries they were trading with. So there was a boom in manufacturing in the country. And there was also a big increase in patriotism. Why do you think there was an increase in patriotism?
Because they wanted their country to win.
They did, yeah, they wanted us to win. And we hadn't really gained anything from the war, but we had also not really lost anything as well. So we had enough victory. We had established ourselves as an independent country. So we had a great sense of pride in being Americans. And did you know that the Star Spangled Banner was written during the War of 1812? It was written in 1814, and it was written during the Battle of New Orleans. So this is one of the examples of the patriotism in America at this time. So